And we're live. Hi, everyone. I'm back with John Ross. John and me, we're going to talk about the leaked no free units. So, what will happen now that Warlord Games, in the latest intelligence report, leaked to us that the free units are gone? There is no free units. The first thing that means is that they're rewriting all the national special rules,
or a lot
doesn't
of
it?
it. Yeah. I mean,
So
if you're France that depended upon those those free units, or you're the British that came to depend upon it, right? Suddenly now you're
it
looking
was
at
a
the
nice bonus for us Brits. I don't think we needed it. I think it was overpowered.
British were so underpowered. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
We needed
nobody ever
all the
won with
bonuses we could.
Brits.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
no, that's not
no,
true. Yeah.
no, no. Anywho, um, so what's that going to do to France? I mean, are French players going to have to change out their whole armies? Or what do we think?
You want me to answer in English or in French? Which would you prefer? C'est dommage, c'est curieux, c'est bizarre. Je ne sais pas. I think so. I think we got a hint, maybe,
Yeah,
for how Warlord Games is thinking about Army special rules in the last campaign book,
yeah,
where you saw, for example, Italians that had some basic rules, and then they had a choice of which Army
different. Yeah,
special rule that they could use in order to build a force more customized to the way they wanted to play. And I thought that was great.
that really worked for Italians. That made Italians playable suddenly again. And I mean, last weekend, an Italian army won the Megatron theater platoon event in Scotland. So, I mean, they really became playable all of a sudden. Yeah.
It's yes, I mean, and they did a good job in that book of not penalizing a player for building a
Yeah.
beautiful army and bringing it
Yeah.
and then having to, play. I played an Italian player at um, in a tournament recently, and in the preliminary bombardment phase, I killed 3 units immediately,
Yeah.
which would have meant that he would have started the game down 3 in morale. Now, I thought that was unfair, so we said, well, the game really hasn't begun, so that's going to be starting morale. But that's ridiculous, right? So it's good that that's gone. I hope in these rules we'll see no more overt, punishing people for playing the army they want to play.
At least I think that would be a good policy for Warlord Games, because they're a model company, right? They sell models.
Yeah.
If you want to sell models, please make sure that people actually enjoy playing them. Otherwise, you're not going to sell them. So I think it's a good policy, and I think the policy that you're referring to with the 3 optional rules of which one do you want to take, I really like that. That's always been one of my favorite things with the Brits, that you had different rules you could take, you could customize your army. Maybe some of the British rules were overpowered, especially in combination with other stuff, but the fact that you could choose, you could decide if you wanted a shooty force or a close combat force or like a morale bonus or whatever. And the Italians got the same feel with Case Blue for me. So I really like that, and I really hope you're right, that this is going to be the way that they're going to build the new national rules.
It would be cool to see that. Because using the Brits as an example, not only did it allow you to play the army that you wanted to play, it also allowed you to play towards either a specific nationality or a period.
Yeah.
So that the army ended up playing, a 1942 British army is very different from a 1944 army, and so
Yes.
Being able to choose those rules, or the New Zealanders fought very differently than the Indian troops did. So I like the idea of letting the player customize their special rules to it. The other thing is about negative special rules is there certainly are armies in ascendancy and decline.
Yeah.
So the 1944 Italian army that just loses and loses and loses battle after battle, it would be interesting to see a give and take. Where you can play a later army or late war Germany, where it's mostly conscripts and all the rest of it, right? To be able to play an army and you take a negative rule, say a negative bonus to morale, but in exchange for that you get something else.
Yeah. So an exchange of 2 things. Ooh, that would also be really cool, and you could do a lot of different stuff with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe if you're playing a last ditch, teenagers in the street with Panzerfaust army, their morale is, they're going to have some morale negative because because of the conditions of the army at that time, or France in 1940 being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But in exchange for that, they get some free Panzerfausts or something like that. So that would be fun.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, because every army, like a conscript Russian army didn't exist in 1944.
Yeah.
So a free conscript squad in your guards platoon rolling and made no sense whatsoever.
Soviets. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really happy that they got rid of the free squads, because for me that also, I mean, I know that they've play tested the new rules for 1250 points, but getting rid of free squads allows the TOs to go low on points, because that was one of the massive distortions once you got into like 700, 500 points armies. If you want to play, I've had a lot of events where it's like for beginning players, rookie players, and bring 500 points because that's all you can paint and assemble really quickly, right? So you bring 500 points, and then instead of 3 games in a day, you play 5 games in a day, like really quickly game, like 1 hour, an hour and 15 minutes, real quick games, and then just blast out. And everyone had a blast doing that. But it's really difficult to do with free units, because people take suddenly they take 20% extra in their army, and that is just, it massively distorts the game. So I'm looking forward to not having free units to deal with.
I think it's such a great point, Bo. And it's not just the lethality of the unit. So it doesn't matter. It's the bizarre effect on combat initiative.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing a 750 point game as French and you've got 2 free order dice versus everyone else, that could be a massive competitive advantage in terms of, especially in terms 4 and 5, right? So I agree with you. I like the fact no free units. It'll be interesting to see what they do with TOEs.
Yes.
Because TOEs was another place where people were cheesily burning, creating significant.
Get yourself a mule team for 4 points, right?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
You buy an artillery piece so that you can get a mule for 4 points because it's giving you that tactical. I hope they do away with that too. That'd be great.
Yes. Yeah. Although we don't know. Yeah. A lot of things with how they treat soft-skins transports right now are going to, I don't know that they're going to completely disappear, but they are going to be very much less effective. They're not going to be the Bradleys rolling through Ukraine right now, right? Which they were in version 2, right? A truck with a pintle-mounted MNG. Oh man, that was good. Just running it down the table, shooting at everything. But so that's going to go away, and I have a feeling that they're going to treat TOEs similarly. Like, you might want them, but they're not necessary. It's still a matter of that cheap order dice, isn't it? So
if I were king, I'd make TOEs operate the same way that spotters do.
Yeah.
So they don't come with their own
of the artillery piece, actually. Yeah.
Right. And when you and so it basically allows the artillery piece to have mobility until it unlimbers. And when it unlimbers, the TOE is sitting there. If the TOE is destroyed at that moment, then I'd have a negative up to morale for the artillery piece because they lost the ride.
Yeah. Which makes perfect sense. I mean, no TOE would wander off alone. It would stay near the artillery piece anyways. Like it would be.
Hey, Alessio, Bo and I have an idea for you. If it's not too late.
Yeah, it's not too late. Call us. Please call. If you're watching, Alessio, please call. That is a good idea. Right. So do we think that these new national special rules is going to quickly come out for all nations?
I think so. And what it'll allow them to do is, like they've been doing in these campaign books, it'll allow them to introduce new ones for a period or for a particular army build. It gives them more flexibility. Now, the danger of this, though, is that you've created. It's the danger of unintended consequences. So, so not all army special rules are equal, and the chance of getting one that overperforms is high.
Yeah.
And then the combination of those two things with army bills, have they worked through all the permutations of it? It would, just saying the Americans don't take a penalty to shooting for movement is pretty simple. Done. You don't have to worry about that ever again. But if they do this, the possibility that there might be some too overpowered rules could be high.
Yes. That's one of the things that I'm looking forward to finding, because that's that combination of stuff. I love finding that synergy and just playing to that. But there is a definite possibility that you'll make something where it just turns overpowered. Yeah, I agree.
So I hate it when there's a rule in a game that is too good not to take.
Yeah.
So you take Up and Atom for the British, for example. I mean, that rule was just amazing. It allows you to play like a Japanese player, to ignore world. And so if that rule is so strong that you look at the other rules and go, I would never take rapid fire. Why would I ever do that? Because this rule is so good. So my wish would be that they would all have their point in place and time, but no one of them is going to be so overpowered that you would go, everyone's just going to play this.
But that balance, I don't think that people who write rules can make that balance very easily. I think it's really difficult to get that balance right. So I'm expecting there to be some imbalance. Although I agree, I would want there to be balance, ideally.
Well, I wasn't invited to help write the rules, so that allows me to convince Billy on it.
Right. John, thank you again so much for tuning in and for giving us your wisdom on this. Again, people, we have no special knowledge. Neither John or I has seen version 3 yet. We're looking forward to seeing it, but yeah. So this is all speculation. We're just guessing.
I've offered some bribes to see them early, and so far nothing. I guess gonna have to kidnap someone's pet or something. Advanced copy.
Right. That is it, John. Thank you so much, and to everyone. See you next time. Cheers.
Bye.